Okay, we're recording again, and tell me about your latest experience.
Well, since I've started working where I am now, which is between Milton and Janesville in the Highway 26 area, there's been a lot of activity that has been unusual. A lot of it has to do with unexplained noises, unexplained, a very, strong, pungent smells that I often hear can be attributed to Bigfoot, Dogman, different cryptids like that. There's been a lot of that stuff here. And I work nights a lot, and that's when I encounter that sort of thing. There was one thing in particular. This was Christmas Day of 2016. I had to stop at work to grab something that I had forgotten about. And when I pulled into the parking lot, I noticed that there were footprints along one side of the building, and only one set of footprints. And it had snowed a lot before that, so, there was all this pristine snow and then footprints that were clearly in one direction very close to the building.
Right.
And when I went out there and I looked at them, they were gigantic. And when I say gigantic, I mean, I wear a size 11 boot, and I took a picture of my boot next to one of them, and it dwarfed my foot. And there were claw marks in some of these footprints.
There's 2 claw marks, just definite 2 claw marks. And they're like 17 and a half inches long by about 7 inches wide. So they're huge.
Big even for the standards of a Bigfoot or something like that.
Yeah, they're big.
It would be a big...
And they're all in one line.
Yeah.
And they go all along the side of the building.
Yep. And it was like they walked from the parking lot area.
You can see where they walked across the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then they just continued and walked and went that way.
But what did you have happen before that? You've had other things going on.
There was yes, you're right. There was one other thing that happened that was extraordinarily odd. And this would have gone back to around December 19th. In that area anyways, there was a big snowstorm. It was a Saturday. There was a big snowstorm.
Of 2016?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And again, we were working that day, and we were shutting down because of the weather. And one of my colleagues was leaving, had some trouble with his vehicle, and so I went out to help him with his vehicle, and when I did, all I know was that there was snow everywhere, but I didn't notice anything peculiar. Got him going out of the driveway, came back inside, and then when I went to leave myself, which was less than 5 minutes later, in the snow on the ground right in front of the door, there was some sort of a symbol drawn.
All right.
And there was nobody out there this was no man's land at that time. We're in the country, is a blizzard, nobody was here. And it was such a short amount of time, no footprints in the area, no indication other than just this symbol, which was essentially a kind of a V drawn or an arrow drawn or something like that.
We thought it almost looked like the outline of a bird.
Possibly. I could see that.
I mean, that's what it looked like to us. But
the oddest part about it is that one side was drawn with, and it had an indentation as if, somebody taken a stick and drawn on top of the snow. The other side was lifted up from underneath.
Yeah, that's the weird part.
And I don't know how you explain that. There was nothing...
How could you do that?
I took pictures of this, and then I shoveled the area, swept it. There was nothing underneath the snow. It was flat concrete. Nothing that would have caused something to rise up in that area.
Like a tunnel.
Like
it's
a
like
tunnel.
a tunnel drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah. on one side of the drawing. On the other side, it looked like it was drawn with the stick.
Yes.
So it was just the weirdest thing.
Very weird.
But you've also had orbs.
Yeah, there's those are very common here, to the point to where I don't even actually think much of it when I see those anymore.
Oh my gosh.
I see them and I get excited by it. I used to get terrified by it. The other thing is that I've come to realize, and this is just the reality of it. I mean, I'm in a spot where I can, on a clear night, you can kind of see as far as where like the Milwaukee airport would be, and it's hard to differentiate what one thing would be from another. But there are times when it is very obvious that what I am looking at is not an airplane, not a jet, not a helicopter, not anything, not a drone, although I have had those out here too.
What color?
Lots of times they're orange. There's been multicolored ones as well.
The shape?
Well, ball-shaped, sphere-shaped.
And size?
Varies tremendously. In fact, there was these are the typical, just the typical ones that I'll see in the sky. Now there was one particular situation that I don't like to talk about at all, where there was a white light that descended down rapidly and was in the field across the street and started moving towards me. And I remember my vision going kind of wonky, like whatever it was, I felt like I was getting dizzy as I was watching it. And it was coming towards me, it was clearly coming towards me, and it was getting bigger, and I was scared. I came back inside the building, looked out the plate glass window, and it kept on coming, and I took a picture of it from inside, and then for some reason I went back out there. And this thing came up very close, and then the next thing I remember, it was out in the field and it had landed, but the light stayed on. The very next thing that I remember is this thing disappearing, and I was taking pictures this whole time.
Right.
I happened to take a picture that caught it just as it disappeared, and there's a good trail of light going up. The oddest part that happened is that after all of this, I was looking up at the moon, or what I thought was the moon, and then I realized, wait a second, it was like a pinkish orange kind of a color, and it did the weirdest thing because it was like a shape of a full moon, and then all of a sudden it disappeared like this, in that sort of a shape, a clockwise shape. It wound up and then it shot away and was gone. That was easily the oddest thing I've ever seen out here, and nothing like that's happened since.
And you're going to talk about your missing time?
Well, and yes, that particular night there is about 2 hours that I can't account for.
And did you hear something before that?
Yeah, there were weird sounds, odd sounds.
Did it say your name?
One time I did. Yes, it did. I did hear. I thought I heard somebody say my name. Metallic sounding voices.
Commanding you? Or telling you to do something? Or talking?
Whatever it was seemed to be speaking forcefully, although I couldn't understand what was being said.
Okay. Is that the same day you had the missing time?
Yes.
And you were texting one of your friends.
Yes.
While
because there had been a colleague that had left to go home just as all of this had happened. And I was trying to get a hold of this colleague to say, whoa, something weird's going on over here. You should stop back and check this out. And apparently there's about 2 hours worth of attempts to text and communicate with this person that went unanswered. And then all of a sudden, I got a response, and there had been an abnormal amount of text messages sent trying to contact him, and I can't explain.
And you don't remember doing it?
No.
Did you have missing time the next night too? Wasn't it? Where we found some...
Yeah, I found evidence and pictures of there being something weird with the time and
the next night.
But I don't remember that in any...
Right.
That was nothing like the night before. That was just very, very clearly something out of the ordinary.
And when you remember the next moment, the first night that you remember, you found yourself in the same spot, the same area.
Absolutely.
When you kind of came to.
Absolutely.
When you realized you were still standing there.
Absolutely. And there was never a point in time where I feel that I blacked out. There was a point in time where I felt that I got maybe a little dizzy and my vision seemed blurry, something like that. I was terrified. I was frozen, but compelled to stay out there too, because I did the smart thing and came inside.
Right.
And then I did the dumb thing and went back out there. And when I did, I felt compelled to stay. But it felt like maybe 5 minutes had passed, not, there's evidence of close to 3 hours.
Right.
And I can't explain that.
And you've got lots of pictures of orbs and stuff that I've seen.
Yeah.
And I checked out the footprints and cast one of them, and I can't tell you if that's a Bigfoot or a Dogman. I don't know what that is. I've never seen anything with that big of a footprint and having 2 claws, and definitely 2 claw marks.
Yeah.
And that size of a footprint, walking in a single file trail along the side of the building. And that was after your missing time experiences.
Yeah. It was over a year after.
And do you hear things outside the building here?
Occasionally, and particularly when I was first working here, there was one night where I heard a dog, what I thought was a dog, and I couldn't find it, couldn't see it, to the point to where I called my wife, and I was, there's something weird out here. And then I attributed, maybe, there's coyotes out here, there's houses that are close enough that maybe somebody's dog had gotten loose, maybe got hit by a car, sounded like a wounded dog.
Oh.
There was another night, shortly thereafter, where I heard 3 loud bangs on the garage door out back.
Okay.
Never did find anything, and I went out to look, whatever it was, but I was here alone.
Oh, and what did you tell me about the owner?
The owner has said very specifically he hates this place and never wants to come back, and did not ever explain why.
And he's a big guy.
Yeah, he's not the type of guy that you would think would be easily frightened by any sort of physical entity.
Right.
It looks like he would be able to whip your ass, basically. And, yeah. And I've never asked him why, but after having had, these things happen, I can kind of surmise that would be why.
Why he doesn't want to come out here?
Yeah.
Who does?
Well, I keep coming back.
Yeah, well.
I keep coming back,
yeah.
and I'll tell you, there's times where I'm really scared. I'll hear something will happen, and I'll be really scared for a few minutes, and then I think, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm not going to get chased away from this, and it might be stupid, and it might result in something horrible. But as I stand right now, I am going to stand my ground. I don't want to interfere with whatever it is that this is. I also don't want to be interfered with. I never used to I am armed at all times now, and that never used to be the case. But I am now.
Yeah.
And I also make sure that I've always got some kind of a recording device on me as well.
Yeah,
And
you did get a bunch of pictures.
I always get pictures. I always
Yeah.
get pictures of all this stuff.
And I've seen the pictures, so I know.
I should probably...
Well, thank you for your interview.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
No problem.